From June 1940 to August 1944, much of France lived under the shadow of Nazi occupation. After the swift and devastating defeat by German forces in 1940, France was divided into two zones: the occupied zone in the north and west, including Paris, directly controlled by Germany, and the free zone in the south, governed by the collaborationist Vichy regime. For millions of French citizens, this period marked a daily struggle to survive amidst fear, hunger, propaganda, and repression. Yet it also sparked defiance and resistance. The German presence. In the occupied zone, the German military and Gestapo established tight control over public life. Cities like Paris were patrolled by German troops, swastikas hung from government buildings, and signs in German appeared across public spaces. Curfews were imposed, radios were censored, and citizens were constantly monitored. Repression and terror. Arrests and executions became a routine tool of German control. Anyone suspected of aiding the resistance, being a communist, or even expressing dissent risked imprisonment, torture, or execution. Hostage reprisals were common. When resistance fighters attacked German targets, entire villages could face retaliation. The 1944 massacre of Oradour-sur-Glane, where 642 civilians were murdered by the SS, was one of the most horrific examples. The Gestapo, aided by French collaborators, infiltrated communities, arrested Jews and resistance members, and instilled a climate of fear. Economic hardship and daily life. Daily life was dominated by shortages, rationing, and deprivation. Ration books controlled access to food, clothing, and fuel. Basic staples like bread, meat, and coffee were in short supply, and long lines at shops were common. Black markets flourished as people sought to supplement meager rations. Goods were expensive and often smuggled or stolen. Children went to school hungry, and malnutrition was widespread, especially in urban centers. Meanwhile, industry and agriculture were often redirected to support the German war effort, deepening hardship for ordinary French citizens. The plight of the Jews. France's Jewish population, both native and refugee, faced relentless persecution. The Nazis, with the help of the Vichy government, implemented anti-Semitic laws, stripping Jews of their jobs, property, and rights. Jews were forced to register, wear yellow stars, and live under curfews and travel restrictions. In July 1942, French police conducted the WWII roundup, arresting over 13,000 Jews in Paris, many of them children, and sending them to Nazi death camps. While some were protected by neighbors and religious institutions, over 75,000 Jews from France were deported, and most were murdered in Auschwitz. Propaganda and indoctrination. The German occupiers and the Vichy regime launched aggressive propaganda campaigns to win hearts and minds. Newspapers, films, and radio broadcasts promoted German-French friendship, anti-Semitism, anti-communism, and support for Marshal Pétain. Schools were forced to teach Vichy values, work, family, fatherland, and denounce the decadence of the Third Republic. Posters and slogans encouraged obedience and discouraged resistance. Informants were rewarded, and neighbors were encouraged to report suspicious activity. Despite this, many French citizens grew disillusioned with the regime's submission and German repression, quietly rejecting the propaganda. Collaboration and complicity. Life under occupation revealed stark divisions. Some French citizens chose, or were forced, to collaborate. The milice, a paramilitary force loyal to Vichy, hunted resistance members and Jews, often with brutal efficiency. Economic collaboration was common. Businesses supplied German forces, and laborers were sent to Germany through the Service du Travail Obligatoire, STO. Others collaborated for survival, protection, or profit. Yet many felt shame or guilt, and after the war, thousands were prosecuted in épuration légale, legal purge, trials. Still, the line between collaboration and survival was often blurry. Resistance and hope. Even under the weight of occupation, French resistance grew steadily. At first fragmented and disorganized, it eventually became a powerful underground network. Resistors distributed underground newspapers, sabotaged railways, hid Jews and Allied airmen, and gathered intelligence. Women played a vital role as couriers, forgers, and fighters. The Maquis rural guerrilla bands fought pitched battles against German forces in the countryside. Despite the risks, millions helped silently, through small acts of defiance, refusing to salute German officers, hiding fugitives, or passing forbidden news. The resistance not only helped prepare the ground for the Allied invasion in 1944 but also preserved a sense of French pride and dignity. Liberation and reckoning. In June 1944, Allied forces landed in Normandy. The liberation of France followed over the next several months, with cities rising in revolt and resistance groups assisting the advancing Allies. When Paris was liberated in August 1944, crowds flooded the streets in celebration. But liberation also brought reckoning. Women accused of sleeping with Germans were publicly shamed, and collaborators faced trials or vigilante justice. France was free but deeply scarred. Life under Nazi occupation in France was marked by fear, hunger, persecution, and moral complexity. While some collaborated, others resisted. While some suffered silently, others rose up. The occupation tested the soul of the French nation, and left a legacy that continues to shape France's understanding of courage, complicity, and the true meaning of liberty.